Namaha Bhavdam Sarvesham Hardam Swagatam. Welcome back to the channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you're doing great. I'm also good. And in this particular video, we are covering what remained from the last video. That was the fifth video on krit suffixes. So in that previous video, we took lut suffix. It is a special kind of suffix that creates a new pratipadika from a dhatu. And what does this pratipadika denotes? So this pratipadika denotes the bhava of the kriya. That is the action itself. And it can also denote some other karaka related meanings also. All this we saw in the previous video. If you are directly coming to this video, first complete the previous video, because this particular video we are just covering the remaining two suffixes in line with what we covered in the previous video. So first cover that, then come to this particular video. Okay, so similar to what we saw in the previous video with the lut suffix, this particular suffix, the ghain suffix. So if you can see here, what does it denote? So it denote the bhava. That is the action itself, or it can also denote any other karaka. So both these points we covered in the previous video, that what is the meaning of bhava, that is the action itself, and what does this any other karaka, what we are implying with this particular sentence. Okay, so what does it denote? It is similar to what we saw in the previous video. What are the it letters? So for this particular suffix, the gha and the nya, both these are the it letters. So what is the main letter? What remains? Okay, so I hope this is clear that this gha and nya, these are the it letters. What remains is this a. So a is the main content for this suffix. Okay, and now what are the required modifications? So we have seen this, that whenever we have a nya or we have a rna as a it letter, so these are the special kind of it letters that causes vriddhi of the last ik and the vriddhi of penalty made short a. So for this nya or rna as a it letter, we have this vriddhi modification, vriddhi of last ik and the vriddhi of penalty made short a. Okay, and by the way, since we have covered this it agama rule also, so I want you to answer this, that the last suffix that we covered, the lut pratyay, and this particular pratyay, the ghai pratyay, for both this pratyay, is it agama possible? So the answer is no. And why? We have already gone through the rule that for it agama to happen, the main content of pratyay should start with any consonant except ya. So for lut pratyay, the main content was ana. It is starting with a vowel. So it agama not possible. Here ghai pratyay, the main content is a, again a vowel. So it agama not possible. So in both these cases, it agama not possible. Okay, and before taking the examples, we have two more additional information regarding this ghai pratyay. First information is pratipadikas that are formed using this ghai pratyay. Those pratipadikas are always in masculine gender. So this is something that you can remember. Okay, and another point is the cha and ja, the chakara and the jakara at the end of dhatus are changed into ka and ga respectively. That whenever we are modifying any dhatu using this particular suffix, if that dhatu is ending with a cha or a ja, then these two will modify into ka and ga respectively. Okay, so just remember this point. And now with this, let us take our first example. That is this tyaga. Again, a very common word, tyaga. Tyaga means act of giving up. An act of giving up basically means renunciation, right? So it is coming from tyaj dhatu. Tyaj dhatu means to give up. And the act of giving up, that is renunciation, is represented using this word tyaga. So now let us modify this dhatu using ghai pratyay. So the first additional rule, remember that if a dhatu is ending with a cha or a ja, then it changes into ka or ga respectively. So this tyaj, this will change into first of all tyag. And this modification happens particularly for this suffix. Okay, so tyaj changes into tyag. And now we will see if these modifications are possible. So vriddhi of last ik, not possible because it is ending with a consonant. Vriddhi of penalty made short a. Okay, this is possible. Because here tyag as a penalty mate as the second last letter, we have a riswa a. So this modification will happen. So basically vriddhi of a will happen. Vriddhi of a is dirgha a. So this tyag, this will change into tyag. And then for ghai pratyay, we know the main content is a. So now we will simply combine them together. So it is tyag plus a, tyaga, the act of giving up. That is the renunciation. But I hope this tyaj to tyaga, this thing is clear. Now let us take another example. So nasha. And what is the meaning of nasha? So again, you can just see what the dhatu is. The dhatu is nash dhatu. Nash dhatu means to destroy. Okay, so nasha is act of destroying. Basically, destruction. So let us see if the modifications are possible. Vriddhi of last ik, not possible because ending with a consonant. Vriddhi of penalty made short a. Okay, possible. So this nash, this will change into nasha. And then for ghai, we know we get this a. And then we finally combine them together. So we get this pratipadika nasha. That means act of destroying or the destruction. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now let us take another example. So we have this pratipadika upadesha. And upadesha means instruction. Why? Because act of instructing. Act of instructing is instruction. This is coming from the dhatu, dish dhatu. Dish dhatu means to give, to grant something. But along with this prefix, upa, so along with this prefix, the meaning becomes to instruct. So basically it becomes a bit more specific, that to give out instructions. So to instruct, that is up plus dish. So now let us see what modifications are possible. So vriddhi of last ik, again not possible because dhatu ending with a consonant. Then vriddhi of penultimate short a. This also is not possible because as a penultimate vowel, we have a e. Okay, so we don't have the short a, so this modification also not possible. And now pay attention. Since the vriddhi modifications, these are not possible. So then we also check for the default guna modifications if they are possible. Okay, and here as a penultimate vowel, we have this ik, e. And it is short also, risva e. So the guna will happen. So this e, this changes into a because the guna of e is a. Okay, so this dish, this changes into desh. Okay, and then we have this prefix upa, and for this ghai pratyaya we know we have this a. And now we combine all of them together. So upadesha, this is the pratipadika we get, upadesha, that is act of instructing. Basically the instruction itself. Okay, I hope everything is clear, and I hope you remember this point that when the vriddhi modifications are not possible, we also check whether the guna modifications are possible now. Okay, so I hope so far everything is clear. Now let us take another example, and we have this most beautiful word yoga. And yoga is coming from the dhatu yuj dhatu. Yuj dhatu means to unite. Okay, so the act of uniting is the union, right? So see, the word yoga, this gives meaning in this form, the bhava, that is the action itself, the act of uniting, that is the union. But this yoga also conveys the meaning in the form of that karanakaraka, that third case, tritiya vibhakti, that represents the means of union. That is the instrument of union, the means of union. So both this meaning, the bhava and the karanakaraka, both these meanings are given using this word yoga. Okay, and now let us see how we get this pratipadika. So yuj is the dhatu modified using ghai pratyay. For this ghai pratyay, we already know that if the dhatu is ending with a cha or a ja, then it takes ka or ga respectively. So here it will take ga. So yuj changes into yug. Okay, and then we'll check if the required modifications are possible. So vriddhi of last ik, not possible. Vriddhi of penultimate short a, again not possible. And since the vriddhi modifications, these are not possible, so we will check for the guna modifications and the guna of penultimate short ik. This is the rule. So guna of penultimate short ik, that is possible here because as the penultimate vowel we have u. U belongs to this ik pratyahara. So the guna of u will happen. Guna of u is o. So this yug, this will change into yog. This is the modification that happens. From this ghai pratyay, we get the a as a main content, and we simply combine them together. We get this pratipadika yoga. That means the action itself, that is union, and that also means the karanakaraka, the means of uniting, the instrument of union. We get these four yoga: karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, raj yoga. So what are these? These are four different ways, four different paths of attaining that union. So this pada yoga in all these karma yoga, bhakti yoga, etc. is representing that, the means of union, the instrument, the pathway to that union. Okay, now let us take another example, bhoga. And this bhoga is coming from the dhatu bhuj dhatu. Bhuj dhatu means to consume, it means to experience. So the act of experiencing is that experience, and bhoga is also used in the sense of the object of experience. So basically the karma karaka, that's something that you consume, something that you experience, that is also represented using this bhoga. Okay, the object of experience, the object of consumption. So again, this word is also giving different meanings. One as the action itself, the bhava, and also in the sense of karma karaka, the dutiya vibhakti. So just as from yuj we got this yoga, similarly from this bhuj we get this pratipadika bhoga. So I don't need to repeat the same steps again. So let us just move on and take another example. So now we have this pada patha, and patha, this means act of reading, and it also means the object of recitation. Okay, again used in the sense of the action itself and used as the karma karaka also. Pat dhatu means to read, to recite in that sense, right? And this dhatu is being modified using ghai pratyay. Let us see the modification steps. Vridhi of last take not possible because dhatu is ending with a consonant. Vridhi of penultimate short a. This is possible. And due to this, the riswa a in this pat will change into the dirgha a because the vridhi will happen. So pat changes into part. From this ghai pratyay, we get this a. We simply combine them together. We get this pada patha. So pat means to read and patha. This is the action itself, the act of reading, basically the recitation. And patha also translates as, in English we have the lessons. So that patha is the object of recitation. Basically in the sense of this, yam pathyate iti patha. That which is read by someone. So yam pathyate iti patha. Okay, so I hope all these examples were enough to give you a good idea of how this ghai pratyay, this operates on the dhatus and what kind of pratipadikas is create. Okay, and now let us see this last suffix also that does a similar kind of function. So this is the tin suffix and the details of this suffix are such. So what does it denote? Again we know that the action itself as bhava or any other karaka. And what are the it letters for this tin pratyay? So the ka, the kakara and the nakara. So these two are the it letters. So the main content, the main letter is what remains. So this ti is what is the main content. It is what gets added to the dhatu. Okay. And now what are the required modifications? So since we have a special kind of it letter, so we know that due to this ka as it letter, the vriddhi and the guna, both of these are prohibited. And the similar kind of modification we saw before also, quip pratyay, kya pratyay. In both these suffixes also, you had this ka as a it letter. And due to this ka, the vriddhi and guna are prohibited. And then we have two more additional detail. The pratipadikas that are formed using this tin suffix, they are always in feminine gender. They are always strilingam. Okay, so basically see, you have one suffix to create only the masculine gender pratipadikas and now you have another suffix to create only the feminine gender pratipadikas. And na and ma at the end of few dhatus are dropped. So this is additional point that for few dhatus when they are being modified using tin suffix, so the na and ma at their end is dropped. Okay, again we'll see with the example. But this is all the detail for tin suffix. Now let us see our first example, the pratipadika shakti. And this pada shakti is coming from shak dhatu. Shak dhatu means to be able to can. Okay, aham shaknomi, I can, I am able to. And the bhava of this dhatu will be the act of being able to. So that is the ability or the potential, right? So that is this shakti. That is what it represents. And again, such a beautiful word shakti. Because who is Adi Shakti? So our Darshan Shastra, they tell us that for that divine consciousness, for that Brahma, the potential to manifest into anything, the potential of doing anything, that entire potential is that Adi Shakti. Okay, so the entire manifestation and all the dynamics that control and sustain it, that all is this Shakti. And that is what we refer to our Adi Shakti, our mother goddesses. So a beautiful, beautiful word. And now let us see the Vyutpatti. So Shak Dhatu modified using Tin Pratyay. And since our suffix has a ka as it letter, so Vriddhi and Guna are prohibited, so we don't need to bother about them. So this Shak will remain as such. And for this suffix tin, we know the main content is ti. So we are just simply going to combine them together, Shakti. This is the Pratipadika we get. So I hope it is clear. Now let us move on and take another example, Smriti. Okay, so Smriti. Smriti is coming from, you can already guess, it is coming from Smri Dhatu. Smri Dhatu means to remember. So Smriti means act of remembering. So this remembrance is conveying this bhava. And memory is like the means through which we remember, right? It is like a storage house. So that is a tool through which we remember. So this memory is kind of giving this karanakaraka flavor. That yena smaryate, yena kaschit smaryate, that by which something is remembered. So that is this smriti, that is this memory, right? So this smriti is again giving the flavor of the action itself, the bhava, the remembrance, and it is also giving the flavor of karanakaraka, the instrument, the means through which we remember, that is our memory. Okay. Actually this yena won't come since smriti, this is the strilingam word, right? So we use this strilingam form, strilingam tritiya vibhakti, yaya. So yaya smaryate, iti smriti. Okay. And by the way, this smriti can also represent the karmakaraka, the second case, the dutiya vibhakti flavor also. That yam smaryate, iti smriti, that which is remembered is also is smriti. So the text like Manu Smriti, Parashar Smriti, and even the text like Bhagavad Gita, all these fall under this category, Smriti. Why? Because Smriti is included all the texts that were composed by our rishis, our sages, in accordance with their own memory of what they remembered from their own adhyayan, from their own studies. Okay, so these were smriti. So my point is, same pada, it can give the flavor of the action itself, the bhava, and it can also give the flavor of few other karakas. Okay, I hope it is clear. And now the Vitpatti, so it is straightforward. You have Smri Dhatu and you have Ti from this Tin Pratyay. Okay, since Vriddhi and Guna all are prohibited, so this Smri remains as such. Just combine it with Ti, so you have this word Smriti. Okay, now let us take another example. And you have this Pratipadika Bhakti. Bhakti is act of worshipping. So basically Bhakti is the worship or the devotion. Why? Because it is coming from the Dhatu Bhaj Dhatu. Bhaj Dhatu means same thing, to worship, to serve someone. Okay, and this dhatu is being modified using tin pratyay. So again, vriddhi and guna, they are prohibited. So this bhaj, this will remain as such. And from this tin, we will get this ti. So here you have the kutvam sandhi, popularly referred to as choho kuhu. So this bhaj, this will change into bhag. Okay, cha cha ja, cha varga. Similarly, ka kha ga, ga varga. So bhaj changes into bhag, and then you have this ti, right? And here, yet again, another sandhi will happen. That is the chartva sandhi. So basically, this bhaga, this changes into bhak. Okay. This ga changed into the prathama vyanjan of its same varga. Bhag changes into bhak. So this is the chartva sandhi, popularly referred to as kharicha. And now they finally combine. And you get this pratipadika bhakti. So I hope this vyutpatti is clear that bhaj, this first changes into bhag due to chohokuhu. And then this bhag changes into bhak due to kharicha. And finally, you get this word bhakti. The dhatu, bhaj dhatu, to worship. So bhakti is the bhava, act of worshipping. So the worship or the devotion. So just remember these points. Now let us move on and take another example, siddhi. And siddhi is coming from the dhatu, siddh dhatu. Siddh dhatu means to achieve something, right? To accomplish, complete something. So the bhava of its kriya is act of achieving. Basically act of succeeding. So achievement or the success. That is siddhi. Okay, and the vyutpatti is siddh dhatu modified using tin pratyay, right? Vriddhi and guna are prohibited, so nothing happening here. And for this tin pratyay, we know ti is what gets added. So you have this siddh and ti. And before combining them, a sandhi will happen. That is, if after the fourth vargiya consonant you have a ta or a tha, then this ta or a tha, they change into dha specifically. This is called as dhatvam sandhi. Okay, so here you have dha. This belongs to the C4, right? This is the fourth consonant. Ta, tha, da, dha. So after a C4 you have a ta. So this ta will change into dha. And now before combining them, again another sandhi will happen. That is the jashtva sandhi. Again a very common sandhi, that if after any consonant you have any mridyu vyanjana, so that consonant becomes the C3. That it becomes the third consonant of its varga. That is the jashtva sandhi, right? So this dha will change into da. The third, da, tha, da. Okay, so just let me repeat what happened. You had siddh and ti. Due to dhatvam sandhi, this ti first changed into dha. And then due to jastva sandhi, this dha changed into da. And then you finally combine them together. So you have siddhi. This is what you get as a pratipadika, siddhi. Okay, and the siddhi also is used in the sense of karana karaka. Siddhi is also used in the sense of that means through which you achieve something. Because no, a lot of times this siddhi represents the yogic powers. So siddhi in the sense of bhava also, siddhi in the sense of karana karaka also. So I hope it is clear. Let us take another example. So you have buddhi. And buddhi is the instrument of knowing, our intelligence, our intellect. Okay, coming from buddh dhatu. Buddh dhatu means to know. Okay, and this particular dhatu is being modified using tin pratyay. Okay, and the two sandhis that happened with this example, the previous example, siddh plus ti, same thing is going to happen here also. So buddh plus ti. Okay, so first due to dhatvam sandhi, this ti is going to change into thi, and then due to jashtu sandhi, this dha is going to change into da. Okay, so you have buddh and you have dhi combined together into buddhi. And the general use of this pada buddhi is this karana karaka only, that the instrument of knowing, that through which we know something, that is buddhi, that our intelligence, our intellect. Okay, so I hope it is clear. I did not repeat the vyutpatti steps because exactly similar to what we saw in the previous example with the siddhi. Okay, now let us see this example mukti. So mukti is coming from much dhatu. Much dhatu means to free, to liberate. So the act of freeing or act of liberating, that is this mukti. Okay, so much when modified using tin pratyay. So from tin we get this ti. Again vridhi guna are prohibited. So then we are simply going to combine them together. Now a sandhi is happening here. Again the same kutva sandhi. Chohokuhu. So the cha varga consonant will become the corresponding ka varga consonant. Okay, so much changes into muk. And then you have this ti. and now you combine them together. So mukti, this is the pratipadika we get. Mukti is act of liberating, that is the liberation or the freedom itself. Now let us move forward and see this example mati. So mati is basically what represents the thought, so act of thinking, that thought. And mati is also used in the sense of the instrument of thinking, that is the mind. Okay. And how we are getting this pratipadika? So we are getting this pratipadika from the same man dhatu from which we got manana. Okay, so man dhatu means to think. And there we had this man dhatu modified using lut pratyay. So we got manana. But here mana, this is being modified using tin pratyay. Okay. And now remember that additional point regarding this tin pratyay, that for few dhatus, the end na or ma is dropped. So for this mana, this na will be dropped. So what you get is this ma only. Okay. And then from this tin, you had this ti. And then you combine them together, you get this pratipadika mati. Okay. So man means to think. So the action itself, the bhava is act of thinking, that thought. And then this pada can also give the feeling of this karanakaraka. Yaya manyate iti mati. Through which something is thought. That is also mati. So the instrument of thinking, that is the mind. Okay. And now you can very easily spot this pada also, gati. Okay, so immediately you can see that it is coming from gam dhatu. Gam dhatu modified using tin pratyay. Same thing is happening, that for few dhatus this na and ma is dropped. So this gam changed into ga, and then you have this ti. And so finally you get this pratipadika gati. Okay. And what is the meaning of this pada? So this pada also gives a lot of different meanings. See, this dhatu, gam dhatu is to go. So first of all, the action itself, the bhava. So gam means to go. So the act of going, that is gati. But this gati also represents the karanakaraka, the tritiya vibhakti. That is yaya gamyate iti gati. That through which someone goes, that is also gati. And then this gati also represents the destination, the dutiya vibhakti, the karmakaraka. That what is the end point towards which someone is going. So see, multiple uses of this word gati, right? That's just that action itself, the going, that is gati. The means of going, the instrument of going, that is also gati. And the place where you are going, the destination, that is also this gati. So this pada represents the bhava, and it also represents multiple other karakas flavor. Okay. So I hope the vyutpatti and the multiple meanings of this pada gati, this is clear. Okay. Let us move on and take another example. This is the last example we will see, Srishti. And Srishti, this means the creation, right? Srishti is this entire manifestation, this entire creation. And this pratipadika is coming from dhatu, srij dhatu. Srij dhatu means to create, to produce in that sense. So when modifying srij dhatu using tin pratyay, we know vriddhi and guna, these are prohibited. So srij dhatu is simply going to combine with this main content ti. But before we combine them, we'll check for Sandhi, and one Sandhi is happening here. You can think of this Sandhi as Shatva Sandhi. Okay, Shatva, Shatvam Sandhi. Why? Because the main change that happen is this sh. Okay, and this particular Sandhi happens for very particular dhatus. There are 7 dhatus to which this particular Sandhi applies, and a few other cases. But out of those 7 dhatus, this Srij dhatu is one such dhatu. And so this Shatva Sandhi, this particular Sandhi happens to this dhatu. Under this Sandhi, what happens is this Srij, this changes into this Srish. Okay, and then you have this Ti, right? And now yet again another Sandhi will happen, and this is the Shtutva Sandhi. So this Ti changes into this T. This is the Shtutva Sandhi, right? And now you combine both of them together. Srish plus T changes into Srishti. Okay, this is the pratipadika we get. Srij means to create. So the act of creating, that is the creation. That is what is represented with this Srishti. Okay, so I hope this Vyutpatti is clear. That first this Srij dhatu due to Sandhi changed into Srish. And then due to another Shtutva Sandhi, this Ti changes into Ta. And then Srishti, this is the final end result. And with this, including the lut suffix that we covered in the previous video, all these 3 suffixes that create a similar kind of pratipadika, we covered all of them. I hope all the suffixes, they were clear. What do they do? What kind of pratipadika they create? Everything was clear. And all the steps involved in creating this pratipadika from a dhatu, that is also clear. If any doubt, you can revisit these videos. And again, there are few more suffixes. So we have a few more things that we can practice all these rules on. So don't worry about that if you have any confusion. In case you have any doubt, any confusion, you can write to me, you can leave a comment. We'll try to address that. Okay. I hope all these sessions are fun. They are not very dull or very boring or very technical. This indeed is a bit technical portion. Okay. You have to follow these steps and all. But once you understand these things, so the way you look at Sanskrit words, it changes. and just by looking at them you can understand their meaning, understand how they are being used. Okay, takes time, takes practice. I'm still going through all those practices myself, but that is the idea behind all these videos. So I hope you have fun, you learn something. I'll meet you in another video with some another information. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy, keep learning Sanskrit. Vayam punha milamaha. Dhanyavad.